Greetings and good morning from Elloree, South Carolina. There are so many hidden gems in this state, and we have one here in Elloree. There's so much history in these towns, and there's so much special culture of how these towns started and the uniqueness of it. And we found something here in Elloree. They have a unique museum which is right behind me, and in this museum it gives a history of what this town is and how it started and why it's just so special and unique. And the neat thing about a lot of this is all these towns are like this, but what's special with this town, and they kept a wonderful history of Elloree. So let's go in this museum right here and see what it was like years ago when this town was started and what life was like. So let's check it out. And good morning. We are coming into the museum, the Elloree Museum, and this is just fascinating. And this right here, if you can see this gentleman right here, this was Mr. Snyder, one of the founders of this community in this city. And what you see here, the old general store, these are actual letters of people that lived here. And this is how they got their mail. In the kind of general store, it was delivered, they had little mail slots here. So, Mr. Snyder, we will catch you later, but we just want to go see some more of your town here in this really unique museum here in Elloree. And here's a real unique picture of what I guess the barber shop looked like. And this is the bank, if you can see the bank. And Miss Kay, I think one of the, I guess the founders of this community here, and you can't see it, but on the side of the door, there's some pencil markings, and that's where they were writing bets or taking bets when World War II would end, which is unique. So, let me think, guns, knives, bicycles. This is what the hardware store was like. And what's unique also about this, that's the original cash register. Everything here in this hardware store and all throughout these exhibits were actually from there. And this is the drugstore right here. And the neat thing about it, the drugstore, you can see the prescription bottles, and there's a cutout of the pharmacist. And the pharmacists back then, they were usually a doctor, a pharmacist, chiropractor, optician. They covered it all. And this is the original desk right here. And you can see the 3 file boxes over there on the desk. Didn't have computers back then. And a lot of the medications that they gave was a lot of natural stuff, not synthetic stuff or synthetically made or redesigned. This is what they got from the earth, and that's what they prescribed for people. And this is right here is what the dry goods store was. And this is kind of what the general store would be right here. And that's Mary Beth Manby right here. Used to date her in 9th grade. And these are the dry goods. A lot of the dry goods were obviously canned goods and sacks of flour, wheat, oats, and so forth. Really cool stuff. And let's go see what's in here. Now, right here, this is a map of South Carolina, and we are right here. We're in what's called the Midlands of the state of South Carolina. This is the Piedmont, the up part of the state. And of course, there's Charleston, Hilton Head would be down here. There's a bigger map, or more clear map upstairs. We'll see that. But this is where we are in the Midlands. Agriculture and timber was huge up there. And here's an exhibit, shows what Elloree was like, obviously. And railroads were huge back then. That's how the local farmers brought all their crops and to here, these hubs, like in Elloree, And that's how they sent it out to Columbia, the middle part of the state, or to Orangeburg, or to Augusta, and so forth. Really cool stuff. And timber was big, very big, still is, in South Carolina. As a matter of fact, there's always, what I'm trying to say, log trucks going up and down the highways taking timber. Because timber is grown kind of like, even though it takes a while to, I guess, when it's ready for cutting or to harvest, it takes 10, 15 years, but it's a huge crop here in South Carolina, even to this day. This is the original cabin that Mr. Snyder, who we saw when he first came in here, and that's where he was born. Isn't it something? What it was like, how we started, we as early Americans, and how we are now, what we're doing now. And another product that was big, huge, obviously, was cotton. And an interesting thing about cotton, and there's a big, right over here, let me show you this photo here. That's just huge cotton field, and if you see my video that I posted a while back on Aiken, you can see some just massive cotton fields. Now these were the old bales, or earlier bales. Now they're even bigger than this. And I'm going to touch on that when we go upstairs and see the cotton gin. And this was the mode of transportation. Not too many Ford or GM pickups. It was this. And it served its purpose well. Here's an old mule. I wonder what the heck. Now we're going to go upstairs and see the cotton gin press up here. And one of the unique things about cotton has been around for thousands of years, like in Egypt and everything. But the interesting thing about cotton is when you pick it, it's full of seeds, and you had to manually get all the seeds out. And it wasn't until Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin, and here's a cotton gin right here. And the cotton gin was a process that had rollers with sharp things in these rollers that just kind of took out the seeds. That revolutionized cotton. Not only that, it revolutionized how products were grown in America. Most products were grown for farmers, mostly for their own consumption, but when they figured out a way to take the seeds out of this cotton, then they could sell it all over the country and all over the world. And that's how cotton is just so important now, even to this day. But Eli Whitney with the cotton gin revolutionized the whole industry, which is the case in so many inventions and how progress moved on. Another thing that amazes me about not only South Carolina, but about America, is just the ingenuity and how they had just, I guess because they had to, just develop ways to increase production so much more. I'm going to go upstairs a little bit here and see what we have up here. But again, this is in the little town of Elloree, and they preserved their history, their way of life so much, which was so fascinating. As 100 years from now or 200 years from now, it's going to be interesting to see how the future residents of this state and this country see us. And let me walk over here. This is a better map of South Carolina. And again, where are we? We're right here. This is the coast. That's Columbia, the middle part of the state. And some of the early residents of the state were Native American Indians. And when you walk through here, you see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of arrowheads. And it makes you think, like, my gosh, how many arrowheads were lost, and they had to be lost to find these out in the ground. And there had to be tons of Indians. And for thousands of years. I think 10,000 years. This is an interesting room. This is a room dedicated to a resident who lived here. His name was Chris Antley. And Chris Antley, and in the Aiken video, horse racing is big in South Carolina. A lot of training here. But Chris Antley won the Kentucky Derby with Charismatic and Strike the Gold from here. And here's a picture of the old racetrack here, and which is fascinating. And of course, we think now the big tracks, Santa Anita, Churchill Downs, the Belmont, so forth. But it was big all over the country. And of course, the resident here brought back some of the glory from the Kentucky Derby. So, just really, really cool how, not only how they preserved the history here, but how they lived here. So unique, so cool. So this is just amazing. And I think in Elloree here, there's only about just under 1,000 residents. But the neat thing also, there are towns like this all over South Carolina. Well, heck, it's all over the country, all over the United States, and it's so unique. And what do we have here? This is what it was like in the old boarding house, and there's a state-of-the-art sound system right there. LMS chambers, really, really special. Really cool. So I just let me kind of pan around here so you can kind of see what it was like. And and not only that, what the current residents did here to preserve their history. I just find it so fascinating. So fascinating. And again, there's so many neat towns that have so much cool history. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And the early settlers here were Swiss German, a lot of Swiss German. And that was their influence in this part of the state. And this went all the way to Orangeburg, which again is in the middle part of the state as well. So if you ever have an opportunity to travel, and what's unique about Elloree, where we are, it's like 2 miles off I-95, which goes from Miami to Maine, I think. And we're not far from I-26, which goes from Charleston to Columbia to Spartanburg and to Asheville and so forth. This is worth the trip coming here. It's that special. And I don't know if you can see this or not, but right across the street, I'm going to show that. That's the old Elloree Town Hall. And like I mentioned, there's so many hidden gems in these small, special towns. So let me kind of walk in the gift shop here and see what we have here of the museum. And this is the gift shop. And as you can see, which is part of the museum. I got to tell you, this was so exciting seeing that museum. It's just so neat.
We just moved from Pennsylvania about 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
My husband was stationed in Savannah.
Yeah.
So he'd come through here to get gas, and this is where we moved. He said, "You don't believe Santee and Elloree." He said, "The littlest towns." He said, "No traffic." He said, "This is where no snow."
And where in Pennsylvania?
It was Halifax, Pennsylvania.
Halifax, Pennsylvania. And your name again is?
Nancy.
Nancy.
Yes.
Nancy came from Pennsylvania. Look at this.
And we moved here, and then I found this place, and I started volunteering. That's all.
That is so neat.
Nice.
Nancy, that's so cool. So.
This is what I do in between customers. Because
Well, Nancy, thank you for letting me see this incredible museum and history of Elloree, and it's just it's neat. It's so special. So, and we're right off I-95, right?
yes, about 7 miles, I guess.
There we go. So, isn't that neat? So, if you come here, come to the museum, ask for Nancy. Isn't this neat? So. Nancy, thank you. And we're going to move on and we're just going to see what else that we can see here in this neat town of Elloree. I am standing on the grounds of the Elloree Training Center. And this is where Chris Hantley learned to ride horses and he trained here in this tremendous center. And as a matter of fact, it is one of the most famous, believe it or not, horse training centers for young riders and young horses in America. And as we saw in the museum, Chris Hantley, 2-time winner of the Kentucky Derby, this is where he got his start. And there's so much, gosh, a lot of people don't realize this. There's a lot of serious training for thoroughbred racehorses here in the state of South Carolina. And people come from, believe it or not, from all over the country to train here, to bring young horses here. And you can see, obviously, some of the stables and the barns and so forth. You see that? And this is a big deal. This is cool. This is really, really cool. And to be honest, I had no idea this was here. I knew Aiken had a training center, but I did not know that Elloree had a training center here. And I'm showing the course again. It looks like it's about a mile around. Hello, horsies. How you guys doing? Let's go say hi to these horses. Hey, guys or girls. What y'all think? How y'all doing? Watch these guys. Hey, horsies. Hello, horsey. How you doing? Really? You think that? Hey, horsey. Yeah. Good, horsey, yeah. There you go. Can you say hello to the people of South Carolina and America? We're going to watch for you now. Pretty cool stuff. Well, again, let me just, let's see what else that we could see in this unique community. Unique town called Elloree. Greetings again from Elloree, and I am standing in front of Trinity Lutheran Church, and you can see the significance of this church, and I'm going to show you a placard, a state placard of why this is important right here. Trinity Lutheran Church was founded in 1849 by German Swiss Lutherans who came to the Orangeburg district, and that's what this is, from Charleston. And like we saw in the museum, and I think Mr. Snyder, the model of Mr. Snyder, in the Midlands of South Carolina, the Swiss-German influence was very, very strong, and a lot of the ingenuity and the research that they did for farming was carried on to this day. And right here you can see this is a nice Lutheran church, the architecture and the construction. Very, very, very impressive in this really unique, special town of Elloree. Again, I want to thank you for traveling with me today with the silver-haired traveler. And until next time, be safe, be smart, and God bless.